Greg and Mark, what are your worries? Worries in caps. We're talking about some serious worries on the offensive side for this coming season. Answer can't be O-line because everyone knows that's a worry. Well, kind of takes a few away, but
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously that's probably where you've got to start because if you don't have it up front, you're not going to be very successful. And obviously, with a new offensive line coach coming in, and a very young offensive line with a few veterans that are splashed in there, guys that have transferred in, that's obviously where you're worried about. I mean, I don't think you can dodge that whatsoever because you look at the other rooms on that offensive side of the ball. You got to, and the word that comes up at every other single room, maybe except for tight end, is competition. You saw what this coaching staff did in the offseason and how much they brought in different types of wide receivers, a lot of running backs, and obviously some pretty highly ranked and big name quarterbacks to add to all these rooms. And it's an open competition all across the board, including offensive line. And we're going to see a lot of these young guys get some chances here in the spring to really prove themselves. And there's a name that I really like that on the offensive line that I think is going to be one hell of a football player, and I think is going to have a breakout time, and that's Henry Lutovsky. He's just a beast. When I saw him play in high school, I knew he was going to be a Husker and just dominate on that offensive line and then play in the NFL. And I think he's going to get a good chance here to show what he's got, and then open up all that competition across. You're going to see guys changing positions, and we're going to see how this all shakes out under a brand new scheme, and all across the board with a new offensive coordinator and a new offensive line coach, a new running backs coach, a new wide receivers coach. So I can't wait to see the competition and to see what kind of show they put on there April 1st when the spring game is televised there on BTN.
Well, I got to add the running back position. There's some production coming back. Ramir Johnson did some good things when he got touches, and he did more so down the stretch. But
he got banged up down there. Last 4 games he was banged up. So
it is a little thin, and there are some question marks.
Well,
running back.
You've added 3 new bodies to a running back room already. That you just mentioned Ramir Johnson, but Gabe Urban's coming off an injury as well, who was the starter going into the season last year. You got Marquise Stepp as well, and Jaquez Yant. So yeah, it's kind of a question mark. I don't think it's a concern because the firepower that you just added through the transfer portal and through the recruiting class, I can't wait to see how this shakes out. And that's why I'm not concerned. It's not a question mark to me because I think they've got a lot of bodies, a lot of different guys that bring different attributes to the table. And, we're gonna see, because one thing that kind of stood out to me, a question that Mark Whipple was asked yesterday, and I believe it was my boss, Sean Callahan, that asked that question. That he asked, "Can you win in the Big Ten without a 1,000-yard rushing, without a rusher, a 1,000-yard rusher out of the running back spot?" And Mark Whipple he thought about it for a little bit, and he talked about his days in the NFL with Jerome Bettis being the bell cow, and he talked about what he did at Pitt with a couple of guys here last year, and so basically the answer was that he can do it with a committee. And he's done it before, and I think that he's got a lot of different guys that he can utilize in key roles as a game dictates. So I really like what they have at the running back spot.
on the surface, that struck me as kind of a silly question because you can get it done a number of ways. You can either have the man who's going to rack up 1,500 yards plus, or you can have a number of guys. You know, there are teams across the country that go to like 3 guys.
Yeah.
But when you look around the Big Ten, the very top teams typically do have a 1,000-yard rusher.
Or if you're talking about like a Wisconsin, if that guy gets hurt, they got another one behind him.
Well, sure,
do the same thing.
Yeah. I'm not even speaking to the guys that are capable of doing it. But
look at Minnesota. Look what Minnesota did last year.
It's fascinating.
I mean, how many
guys?
How many running backs? Yeah, I mean,
5
guys. Every week they lost their top guy. They still dominated.
Yeah, they were bringing in guy after guy after guy after guy, and they got to the 5th guy, and he's still running for 140 yards a game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was impressive.
Yep.